Hello and welcome to this lesson on limits of accuracy. By the time you finish this video, you will be able to identify appropriate lower and upper bounds for measurements given to a specified degree of accuracy. You will be able to apply bounds to calculate maximum and minimum possible values in real-life contexts, such as length, mass, area, and quantity problems. And you will be able to determine the correct bounds in multi-step calculations to find the maximum or minimum possible value. Let's get started. Let's begin by thinking about this question. Is a measurement ever exact? Take a look at this number line. We can see a value marked at 10.5 and another at 11.5. But here's something very important to understand. When we say a value like 10.5, we are not saying it is exactly 10.5. Instead, we are saying it has been rounded. This means the true value could be slightly smaller or slightly larger. Now look closely at the dashed lines. These dashed lines show the limits, the boundaries of where the actual value could be. On the left side, we have what is called the lower bound. This is the smallest possible value the measurement could be before it would round up to 10.5. On the right side, we have the upper bound. This is the largest possible value the measurement could be before it would round up to the next value. So the true value is not just one number. It lies somewhere between the lower bound and the upper bound. Think of it like a hidden number, living inside a small interval. We cannot see the exact value, but we know the range where it must exist. Now look at the arrows pointing inward. They show that the possible values are being contained between these two boundaries. The measurement is trapped within this range. This is the key idea behind limits of accuracy. Whenever a value is rounded, there is always a range of possible values, and this range is defined by the lower bound and the upper bound. So instead of thinking of a measurement as a single fixed point, we should think of it as a small interval on the number line. This idea will become very important, especially when we start calculating maximum and minimum values, because depending on the situation, we will use either the lower bound or the upper bound to find the answer. So always remember this. A rounded measurement is never exact. It represents a range between a lower bound and an upper bound. Take a moment to look at this number line and make sure you understand where that hidden value could lie. Now let's build on that idea using this example. We are given a measurement of 11 centimeters for the length of a table. But remember, this value has been rounded, so the true length is not exactly 11 centimeters. It lies somewhere within a range. Let's look at the number line. We can see two important values marked, 10.5 and 11.5. This tells us that the actual length of the table is greater than or equal to 10.5. but less than 11.5. So we can write this as 10.5 is less than or equal to the length of the table, which is less than 11.5 centimeters. Now let's understand how we got these values. The key idea is the rounding unit. Here, the value 11 is given to the nearest whole number. This means the rounding unit is 1. To find the bounds, we take half of this rounding unit. Half of 1 is 0.5. Now we apply the formulas. The lower bound is the measured value minus half of the rounding unit, so we calculate 11 minus 0.5, which gives 10.5. The upper bound is the measured value plus half of the rounding unit, so we calculate 11 plus 0.5, which gives 11.5. These two values define the full range of possible lengths. Now take a moment to notice something important. The lower bound, 10.5, is included in the range, but the upper bound, 11.5, is not included, because if the value reached 11.5, it would round up to 12 instead. So the actual length must be less than 11.5. This is why we write it carefully using inequalities. So let's bring it all together. Lower bound equals measured value minus half of the rounding unit. Upper bound equals measured value plus half of the rounding unit. And for this example, the length of the table lies between 10.5 and 11.5 centimeters. This idea is the foundation for solving limits of accuracy questions, especially when we move on to finding maximum and minimum values. Now, let's dive into some exam-style practice question. You can pause the video and try yourself. Question 1. The width of a table, W, is measured as 5.2 meters, rounded to 1 decimal place. Find the lower and upper bounds for W. This question is worth 4 marks, so we will go step by step and make sure we secure each mark. First, we identify the rounding level. The value 5.2 is given to 1 decimal place. This means the rounding unit is 0.1. This is very important because everything depends on this value. Now, to find the bounds, we take half of the rounding unit, so we calculate 0.1 divided by 2. This gives 0.05. This earns 1 mark. Now we are ready to find the upper bound. The upper bound is the measured value plus half of the rounding unit, so we calculate 5.2 plus 0.05. This gives 5.25. This earns 1 mark. Next, we find the lower bound. The lower bound is the measured value minus half of the rounding unit, so we calculate 5.2 minus 0.05. This gives 5.15. This earns 1 mark. Now we write the final answer as an inequality. 5.15 is less than or equal to W, which is less than 5.25. This earns the final mark. So remember the full process. Identify the rounding unit, divide it by 2, then add to get the upper bound, and subtract to get the lower bound. This method will help you solve any limits of accuracy question with confidence. Question 2. The weight of a book W is measured as 30 kilograms, truncated to 2 significant figures. Find the error interval for W. This question is worth 3 marks, so we will go step by step and make sure we understand each part clearly. First, we focus on the key word truncated. Truncated means the value is cut off, not rounded, so the number does not go up or down. It simply stops at the given place value. Now, the value is given as 30 kilograms to 2 significant figures. This means the last significant digit is in the tens place. So the unit we are working with is 10. This earns 1 mark. Now, because the value is truncated, the lower bound is simply the measured value itself. So the lower bound is 30. This is different from rounding, where we subtract half the unit. Here we do not subtract anything. Now we find the upper bound. The upper bound is the measured value plus the unit, so we calculate 30 plus 10. This gives 40. This earns another 1 mark. Now we write the error interval. 30 is less than or equal to W, and W is less than 40. This earns the final mark. So remember the key idea. When a value is truncated, the lower bound stays the same as the measured value, and the upper bound is found by adding the unit. No halves, no rounding, just a direct interval.